Welcome to the show. Here's my dad.
On this episode of the Infant Adoption Guide podcast, we talk about what open adoption looks like to us after adopting 3 times with my special guest, my wife, Tisha Elder. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Infant Adoption Guide podcast. Welcome to episode number 100, yay! My name's Tim Elder. We're here to talk about domestic infant adoption. We're here to help guide you through the overwhelm so you can adopt faster, with more confidence, less headaches. So thank you for joining me today. As I said in the intro, it's a very special episode. It's number 100, and I get to have my beautiful wife back on the show with me today to talk about our experiences through adopting 3 newborns over a 10-year period. So welcome back to the show, Tisha.
Hello.
Well, it makes me happy to have you back on the show, and we've talked about doing this before because we have so many wonderful conversations about adoption over the years.
We do.
We don't record any of them.
No.
Well, we've recorded one back in episode 62. I recommend go and listen to that if you haven't already. We talked about the top 10 things we learned through 3 infant adoptions. Episode number 62, infantadoptionguide.com. So go listen to that. But we're here to record our conversations again because we have more to share, and we like to share about adoption. In this particular episode, we're going to talk about our open adoption experiences. Now that we've adopted 3 times, our kids are getting a little bit older, and we've got even more open adoption experiences and stories to share. So I think it'll be very enlightening and really hopefully inspirational to you, the listener, to hear what we have got to say about open adoption, so you can really see what real world adoption and open adoption looks like. So let's get into that. What have we learned about open adoption now that we've adopted 3 times? So first of all, open adoption's not always easy to understand and get used to. It takes effort, like any relationship. But really the point, or what open adoption really is, the definition, it's contact. Having some kind of communication, contact, relationship with your kids' birth families. Could be birth mom, birth dad, birth grandma. We'll get into more of that in our story. But that's really the essence of open adoption. And there's varying levels of openness. So it just means having some kind of communication. So that's that. Let's get into what we talk about in our relationship with our kids' birth families. So I'm asking you, Tisha, because we talked about this already, but how did we first react to the concept of open adoption like 15 years ago when we were first starting to adopt?
I would say very, what's the word?
Hesitant?
Hesitant, yeah. Very hesitant, not really understanding what exactly that meant.
Yeah.
What exactly that would look like. It felt like it would be kind of intrusive.
Yes.
So we were really questioned, but I think the smartest thing we did was talk to our adoption professional about it.
Oh.
Because she made us feel a lot more, I guess, open, for lack of a better word, open to, okay, well, let's see, maybe this is something that we really could do and want to do, because she highlighted the benefits of it for our future child, which is the most important in that scenario, is that child. So
yeah, they didn't hit us over the head with open adoption. You must do this. This is the best for the child and everybody, so just do it. They were very gentle with us.
But it was
is what
highly
we needed.
recommended, for sure.
But it was highly recommended, and let's just talk through this. And they did a very good job
mind you,
of that.
that was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So it was, I mean, a lot has changed in the adoption world in that
open
time.
adoption's become even more embraced.
It's even more, than it even was then.
But still, people that are listening to this may be coming into adoption for the first time and going, well, okay, what is adoption? And is it co-parenting? No. Is it so intrusive that it scares me to even want to adopt? No. But open adoption it's not an easy thing to say it is this, because every adoption situation is different.
It's very different.
Just like every relationship is different. If you think about open adoption as a relationship, you'll know it's going to be different no matter what you do. And we'll highlight that in our experiences. So how did we get more comfortable with the idea? Well, our adoption professional, if you've heard our story before, we worked with Lifetime Adoption Center, and specifically Libby So thank you, Libby, again, for being so great and gracious to us and helping us
She's
through
awesome.
understanding the open adoption world. But when did we get to really understand? I mean, you can talk about it and you can think about it. You can even read stories or listen to stories about it. But how did we, you and me, Tisha, actually get fully like, okay, we actually understand what open adoption is?
Yeah, see, I think that's what it is. I think when it's a theory, it's really hard. But when you actually meet the birth parents or parent, you're like, oh, well, yeah, I could see how this could work. Because it's more of it's a real person. It's a real people. It's
That's right.
a relationship, like you said. So, yeah, then I think that's when we first were like, well, yeah, we kind of do want contact. Like, this could be really good.
Once you actually meet somebody,
Yeah,
you're looking at them
real
in the eye
people.
and you're
Yeah.
going, oh, this person really is. We do have the same goals. We have the same ideas that we all want what's best for this child.
Right.
Then it really becomes a relationship that you want to work on together.
Yeah.
To the benefit of the child.
Yeah. So I would say that we were definitely looking at open adoption as a good thing. And when we met our very first child's birth mom, we were like, okay, yeah, this makes sense.
Oh. And we've had 3 open adoptions. All 3 are different. Our
Very
first
different.
one started out open, and we were open.
Mm-hmm.
She was fairly open, but we lost contact with her over the years.
Yeah, I think Ariana was 3 or 4.
And we've since gotten back into contact after her, and we'll get into that in a little bit. We'll tell a story about that. The second one, we had an open relationship with, I mean, even before our son was born.
Yeah, we matched, like 3 months
We matched,
before?
we had a longer match, so we had an
Yeah.
opportunity to meet with them, talk with them, visit
Start
with them.
building the relationship before he was
Yes.
born.
Yep. And for us, we adopted from a different state, so it took effort. We went there.
Yeah.
And they were okay with it. They wanted that, so we met with them a couple times before he was born.
Yeah, that's right.
But that started the relationship building. And after he was born and he was placed with us, we had really good contact with them. We were texting and we had some phone calls, and I don't know if we did FaceTime at that point. I can't remember if we did FaceTime, but
I don't know. I don't remember.
we may have. But then they wanted to come visit, I think when he was like 6 months old, and they came to visit, and that was cool.
I think he was slightly older.
Or maybe he
than
was a
that.
little, maybe
he
it
was
was
a
8 months.
little
Yeah.
older than that. But
So
yeah,
they came to visit us, and that was fine. And it was a short visit, and they did, and that was great.
but yeah, I texted every day, multiple times
Yeah.
for the first several months. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. So I was willing. I know some people might not understand that. It didn't bother me. But again, it's a relationship, so it's got to work for all the people involved. I was fine with it. Maybe somebody else would feel like there needed to be a boundary there. I did not feel that way. But again, it was a particular person. It was like we had a chance to build some of that relationship. So I felt very comfortable with it. And it did. And it automatically, slowly, was less because it's, originally they needed more contact. They just needed that. It was hard. But as time went on, that naturally just kind of the ebb and flow of life, So.
And our
So it's
first
different.
adoption wasn't that much because we didn't have that kind of a texting.
Right. It was a
relationship.
different, yeah.
So we were still sending
was very
things. We were
different.
still sending pictures and
Yeah, that was
sending
it was more
things to her. But
it was more pictures and letters and things like
it was
that
kind of
kind of
one-sided.
contact. That
Yeah.
kind of it was more one-sided. It was that kind of contact. The second one was much different. It was a whole lot more contact.
Yeah. And to be fair, the first one, I guess we could back up a little bit.
Yeah.
We didn't have a very long match. It was like a week.
It wasn't even a week.
Yeah, it wasn't even a week. So there was
Yeah.
no time.
There wasn't time to build that
a relationship.
It did make it harder.
It did make it harder.
Yeah.
So, and we were still multiple states away and all that. So there was nothing being close, and there's things that didn't allow us to communicate very well at that point.
Right. Yeah. Communication was a little difficult.
But the second one with her son, we got longer match, got a chance to build a relationship, more opportunities to communicate, easier, and we did, and we built a relationship with them, and we still are. So we'll get into more of that. Third one, we also had a short match. It was it even a week in that one either? I don't think it was.
The actual match was probably about a week.
Yeah.
Well, no, it really wasn't. We knew about it for maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks maybe at most. But I don't think we matched until a few days before she was born.
Yeah, that's true. We had conversations, but didn't actually match until very, very, very short.
It was short either way.
Again, not a chance to build a relationship beforehand.
Right.
That one though had since placement, we got to spend some time with them there.
Right.
After she was placed with us.
Her birth family.
With her birth family.
Mm-hmm.
We did that. It was nice. It helped start the relationship, I think, because we were all open to that, and it was
we were
cool.
there for a little over 2 weeks, so we had a little time to do that.
So that was nice because it started the relationship building, and after that, we've had mainly just contact with her birth grandma. Mm-hmm. And that's been good, mostly over text. We have not gone to visit or anything like that. It's one we've had a FaceTime. I think we did once. So that's been good. And through all of these, all three of our adoptions, we always take the path of trying to be as open as we can to them. So, and what does that mean? We contact them and say, hey, would you like to FaceTime? Hey, would you like a phone call? Hey, what do you think about a visit? We've offered those things because we want to be as open as we can. We want to offer that to them. So we don't want to close down and say, hey, we're only going to contact you.
And sometimes they won't ask for those things because they don't want to be intrusive.
Right.
And we appreciate that.
I know every adoption situation is different, so I can't say everybody's going to be like that, but
absolutely. There are some situations where we understand that it cannot be open.
No. Right.
So
there's some serious circumstances.
There's no judgment here about that.
No.
Like, we understand that there are some situations where it just can't be. But we fortunately are not in those situations, so.
No, we've been very blessed with that. And we just want to tell our story because it shines a light on three different, all in the same family. We are the same people, but we have three different open adoption relationships.
It's
just
very different.
Because of the relationship, not because of anything we're doing differently. It just happens. The circumstances are just different in all three of those. Mm-hmm. So that's what we wanted to kind of highlight here and to help you, the listener, understand how much different contact means different things. Relationships happen differently. So let's talk about, we just got a couple stories that we wanted to share just to kind of highlight those differences. And one thing we're going to tell you, I'll tell you time and time again on our podcast, anytime we talk about open adoption and relationships, and stories, we always want to protect our kids' stories. So we're not going to go into amazing levels of detail in all of our stories because it's our kids' stories to tell. I think you said it really good before we started recording.
Well, it's our story too, but it's primarily their story to tell.
And
I don't want anybody to be telling them their story before they hear it themselves, like when they're very young. And And there could be information that they just simply don't want other people to have access to. And that's their right. I mean,
and as we tell them more of their story as they grow, I mean, you can't tell them all. I mean, in our situation anyway, we don't want to tell them all the details. They can't even understand it.
Right.
The younger they are.
Right.
So the older they get, the more levels of understanding they get, and we tell them more of the story.
And if you don't talk about it a ton, they forget things anyway. So
That's right. We're retelling the story.
Yeah. We've said stuff when our kids have asked us questions or something. We're like, oh, you don't remember that? We talked about that before. And, no, I don't remember that, so.
And the older they get, the more they understand and start to ask questions. And that's what our stories these couple stories we're going to tell you will illustrate. So the first story is how we went on a trip. So this is with our son's birth family. And so we've had this open adoption relationship that's pretty open. We've spent some time with them. It's the one we matched with several months before he was born. So we had all this time to develop this relationship. We had multiple visits. So we were going on a visit to see them, their whole birth family, not just the birth parents. And
some of their extended family.
Yeah, some of their extended family. So it was fun. It was a good trip. And what that did, though, was spark some conversation about our other kids' birth families.
It brought up the differences.
And the differences, yes.
Mm-hmm. Between the openness.
Yep. So our daughter was 8.
She's around 8.
8 or 9 at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And she was the one that was really kind of struggling with it because she didn't have the same openness, the same relationship with her
and
birth
I think
family.
When she hit around that age is when she started to understand adoption more. Mm-hmm. And so I think the understanding of maybe what she lost a little bit, like maybe that's not the right word, but just how that was different. Mm-hmm. And then seeing the relationship was different.
Then you start asking why is my relationship different than their relationship? And how come we can't spend more time? Or, all these things start to go through your head.
And so she was asking a lot of questions and kind of struggling a little bit. I don't know, maybe struggle is too strong of a word, but definitely thinking about it and asking questions. Oh. And we had lost contact, didn't have contact actually for several years. And we had kind of looked on social media once in a while to see if maybe we could find her, but we weren't really sure if she wanted us to, I guess. We had no reason to believe she didn't, but, you want to be careful of and not intrude on somebody else's life. So, on that trip, I think, is when or maybe it was right before that trip, we had thought we had found her on social media.
Yeah. We just decided to search again or do a deeper search.
Again. It had been a little while.
And And so we're like, let's just do. I mean, I remember sitting or laying in bed scrolling through, social media just to see if I could, all these different profiles of people with her name and seeing if I could just
She had
find
a relatively common name.
Yeah. Yep. So it wasn't that easy to find. But anyway, that one night, I'll never forget, I was laying in bed and I'm doing what I'm not supposed to do is be on my phone in bed, but scrolling through social media and finding her name and then her picture. And we're like,
I remember you showed it to me and you're like, and I'm like, no, that's her. I'm sure of it. I am sure that is her.
So then what? Then we're like, okay, do we message her? What do we say in our message? So we thought about it. We were careful. It took us a few days, I think, to
really think about it.
Message.
Yeah, we wanted to really think about it and be careful about how we approached it.
But we reached out to her, and she was thankful. She almost immediately responded.
She was actually really glad we found her.
Yeah, she was very excited to hear from us, and that opened the door to having a phone call. So our daughter got to talk to her birth mom for the first time.
Yeah.
At the age of, 8 or 9.
Yeah.
So that was really important, I think, to have her know that her birth mom's real, even though we're telling her this, she sees pictures.
Yeah. I think
it
that
made
was
it more
the part.
real to her.
It made it
she
more
got to
real.
talk to her. And her birth mom actually said, "Hey, you want to ask me anything? You can ask me anything."
Right. Yeah. She
That
was
was
so
big.
open and so good with her. And yeah. And our daughter, the change in her after that
Oh yeah.
of just knowing that she had contact if she wanted it.
The ability.
The ability, to have that if she wanted it.
Yeah. It did two things. It did that for her, but I think it also did for her birth mom is go, I know they care about me
Right.
enough that they reached out to me, and I know she's well loved and cared for.
Yeah.
So both things happened there. I think that was really cool that we're able to do that.
So now mainly we keep in contact over social media
Yeah.
with her.
So that really shows a stark contrast in two of our kids' open adoption relationships because
And just having to navigate that between your kids
yes,
is tricky.
it's tricky. Yeah. You want to do what's
Siblings
best
are
for them.
siblings, and
Yeah.
sometimes they can hit where it hurts, and so we talk to our kids a lot about that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't use those things as a weapon against each other. And it's difficult sometimes because especially when they are young enough, they don't understand.
Oh yeah.
And I would say our kids are still young enough that they don't have a lot of life experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so they don't really probably fully understand what kind of circumstances could
Yeah.
happen that would make a birth mom or birth parents make a decision for adoption.
It's hard to wrap your brain around.
Yeah, I would say our 15-year-old probably has a better idea,
Yeah.
but at the same time still doesn't have that much life experience to really understand.
Ultimately, that's what every adopted child has to deal with.
Right.
Is why? Why?
Yeah, the why.
Why
Yeah.
couldn't I stay with my birth family? That's the thing they wrestle with. And
Right,
so,
and some more than others.
yep, some more than others.
Some are just more sensitive than others. Some are going to ask a lot of questions, and some are just going to go more with the flow. They're going to be more laid back about it.
Yeah, but something to think about as you're listening to this and you're wherever you are in your adoption journey and you start having this open adoption relationship, try to think about it through your child's eyes. Like
Right.
what could they be thinking about? What could they be worried about? And it's going to change as they grow. There's no question. But our job, and what you and I have done, is try to set up the relationship. So we have a relationship with our birth families, but we're trying to set up the relationship for our kids to
Well,
take
make
it
it
wherever they
available.
want to go. Yeah,
Make it available
take it
to
however they
them.
want to go. So when they're old enough, when they become adults,
Yeah.
they can have whatever kind of relationship they want to. But at least we've kept that door open and we've tried to work on it over the years and try to set it up in a positive light as much as possible so they can have a good relationship if they want to.
Yeah, because ultimately it will be up to them to keep that relationship.
No question. So our second story is what we wanted to share. And this might sound, I don't know, out there for you, the listener, about, whoa, could this be this much open adoption? So we want to preface it by saying
We would have thought that.
We would have
at
thought the same
one
thing.
time.
Yes.
Like,
No
what?
question. No question.
How would that happen?
And we didn't just get here to this story we're about to tell. This was a build up of
A lot of
years
Yeah.
of a relationship and visits and phone calls and texts and all these things.
Well, 10 years, really.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll tell the story. Just this past year, in the last, we'll say 6 months, our son's birth parents decided to get married. Awesome, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. What's really amazing is they asked us to be part or come to the wedding, and they asked our son to be a ring bearer.
And our daughters to be in the
And they
wedding
included
also.
our daughters to be in the wedding too, which was amazing.
It was amazing.
So we were just like so pumped up that they're doing this, and they invited us to do this. And there's multiple states away again. Well, one state away. Anyway, it was a ways away. We had to go on a trip, and we thought or at least I did. I don't know if you thought this, Tish, but I thought we were going to a wedding that was going to be like 200 people, some big.
Well, they have a relatively good size.
Yeah, they have a good sized family because we've seen them.
So we were. I don't know. I never thought to ask how big the wedding was.
No.
I just assumed it was going to be a lot of people. We kind of fade in the background,
We just kind of fit in, and our son, our kids get to be part of the wedding, but we kind of just, stay back and be okay and
We were
be there
excited
and
to be there.
Yeah, we were excited to be there.
We love them, so we were excited.
But we don't.
To be there.
We didn't want to be in the forefront, right? But anyway, so we get there. We thought there were gonna be 200, and there was like 20. And 5 of them are us.
Yeah.
So it was very, very small, and there was no hiding, or
It
not
was
hiding.
really
I shouldn't say
nice,
hiding. There was
though.
no sitting in the back or anything. It was very, very nice.
It was
And
wonderful.
the really beautiful thing is
and
that
we knew most of the people there,
yeah, absolutely.
which is interesting.
And our son's birth parents, we love, told everybody we're so happy that you all are here. You all are the most important people in our lives, and we wanted you to be here for our
Yeah, that was
small
really cool.
private wedding, which was so cool.
Well, and to back up a little bit, we knew most of the people there because some of them were their extended family, and we had already spent time with them over those, years leading up to this, visiting, or they came to visit us, or, that kind of stuff. So there's been several trips back and forth with their extended family. And so we've gotten to know, a few of them.
But it just shows, and you might be listening to this going, really? Whoa.
But
Whoa.
that's just it. They are our extended family. That's how we look at
Absolutely.
them. All of those birth parents, birth families, birth grandmas, they're all our extended family. And, that's just how we look at it.
And going to their wedding and spending all that time with them and everything, it was like 4 days. It was not an overnight thing. It was, like we said, build up of a relationship of many, many years. Mm-hmm. So it was, for us, it was a no-brainer to go, and we did, and it was
because it was
fun.
the second week of school here.
Yeah, we ended up having
That's
to
right.
take
It
them
was
out
the
of
second
school
week
for
of school,
a little bit,
so-
but that's okay. That's a part of what open adoption can look like, and maybe to you listening to this might sound extreme, and maybe it is. I don't know. But again, to us, we would have never thought we would be in that situation either 15 years ago when we first started this whole thing.
No.
But now we couldn't think of
Couldn't
it any
imagine.
other way.
Yeah.
To have, like I said before, the same thought, the same goal, the same desire for our kids to succeed and grow and laugh and love.
And now with the ability to have like messaging things and FaceTime and that kind of stuff, our kids can take kind of over that relationship for themselves also in a way that, didn't even exist really the same way,
No question.
not
15 years
that long ago.
Right.
But so it's interesting to watch those relationships grow themselves separate of us even.
So as we wrap this up, we want to go through some tips about open adoption. Some stuff we've shared a little bit all along the way we've learned. But one thing you got to read about, you should read about open adoption and listen to stories. And we've had a lot on this podcast. So go back and listen to some of those.
I think that's what helps
Yeah,
us the most is hearing other people's stories.
Yeah, just listening, because every story is different. Everybody's got a little bit different open, and you can learn something almost about out of every story. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty important to do, and you can do that no matter where you are in your journey, even if you've already adopted. But if you haven't met your child's birth family yet, you're still in the adoption path, and maybe you're not matched, or maybe you are matched. It's important to think about open adoption through your birth family, your kids' birth family's eyes. So, and it's probably going to be the birth mom, at least. But think about it through their eyes. Let them. Let me see. Let me back up. Think about it through their eyes and the fact that what type of contact do they want. Like we said at the very beginning, the birth mom really just wants to know their child's being taken care of. She made the right decision in choosing you to be the parents.
Okay.
They're okay. And they start thinking about that before they choose you. What parents am I going to choose that are going to be that way? That are going to even allow me to see that I made the right decision? So I think that's part of the open adoption thing you got to think about when you're making your profile, when you're talking to them for the first time and starting to build that relationship.
They mainly just want to know there's a possibility of
Yes.
some kind of contact. Most often. I mean, there are rare exceptions to that, but.
So and contact can change and does change. We've seen that on all three of ours.
It will change over time.
Changes over time.
Yeah, like I was talking about, there was a lot of texts from the beginning, and then they kind of, with the ebb and flow of life, there was a lot less. Yeah.
Because it's not just contact. It's not just communication. It's relationship. I think you've heard us say that. And yeah, relationships change. But it is great and helpful for our kids for many reasons. Just knowing where they came from, being able to ask why, even medical history, all those things are what make open adoption really, really beneficial to everybody. A couple other things that we feel strongly about is support. And if you're struggling with open adoption and you're struggling with anything in your adoption journey, having somebody to talk to about it is huge.
Yes.
And it can't always be your family and friends because they probably don't understand about adoption. But if you can talk to somebody that's going through it or has gone through it, can talk the language, big. So we have a Facebook group that you can join for free. infantadoptionguide.com. You'll see at the top of the page, you can join our Facebook group. 4,000 people in there. You can ask any question. But we've also taken it to the next level and started a new community, infantadoptionguide.com, and you'll see the community button there. You can join our community there. So it's different because it's smaller. It's more personal. We get you in touch with people that you can actually talk to and not get lost in a 4,000 person Facebook group. So you can go and listen to those things and check those things out. See what's important to you and how community can help you. But community really helped us over the years and continues to. So post-placement, so the child's with you. Let's just say your baby's placed with you and you're home, all right? I don't know if you're adopted from another state or not. Anyway, you're home, baby's with you in that first day, week, month. How much communication do you try to have?
Well, I think we always kind of let the birth mom or birth family lead that. Like, we made sure they knew that we were open to it in any way they wanted, if that was texts or phone calls or whatever. In our case, we couldn't really do visits because we weren't close. That might be, somebody else might be able to do that. We not.
We couldn't commit.
Right. Well, visits like in the first, because you said the first few days and weeks.
Right. Yeah, we couldn't
that
do
was
that
not a possibility for us. Obviously, we've done trips and things since then when we can, but it's not even an every year occurrence on our end, because that would be very difficult with 3 children to be able to do that every single year when they're all from different, or all their birth families are in different states from us. So, we made sure we didn't commit to things that we couldn't do.
That's right. Not overpromise.
Right. We did not.
I'd rather
we were very
underpromise and
careful.
overdeliver.
we were definitely open to a visit at some point, but we could not commit to something like
what exactly
on a regular basis every year or something like that.
I think our key was always start slow. We started.
Right. Well, and in many of these cases, I want to say pretty much, I think every one of them, they really didn't know what they wanted. They really didn't know what it would look like. They really didn't know how much contact they would feel like they wanted. In some cases, they wanted more or less, just how it went naturally. So So I think, yeah, just understanding, like, to be, like we were talking about before, just be flexible. I guess in adoption, that's kind of the name of the game.
It is.
Flexibility. Because, when you are dealing with so much emotion, and understandably so, and I think the first one, we didn't know how much we wanted either. We didn't really know what that was going to look like totally either. So we never done this before. So
Yeah. And it's okay if you don't have a perfect plan all mapped out and everything, because that's probably going to change
there are a few
anyway.
states where you have to actually have
There
an
might
agreement.
be. Yep.
So that's a little different.
And
we did not have any of
if you take the lead of your
those,
adoption professional, they will help you with that.
Right.
Don't feel like you have to get it all figured out.
Right. I think, yeah. And it's hard to talk about that when you don't have a relationship before they're born. And even when they are, you do have that relationship, like they didn't know exactly what they would want. But we just made sure that they knew we were open to it, and it would be could be an ongoing discussion. In other words, like, we didn't know that we were going to make these trips. We didn't know we were going to be at their wedding. We didn't know we were going to get to know, the birth grandma and the aunts and the cousins of, like that all happened over time.
Yeah. Yep. And other thing we learned is don't assume they don't want to hear from you. Don't assume the little things mean big things to them. So what do I mean by that?
Right.
Well, we for Christmas or something, we want to give them, thought about giving him a gift or something. Really all they want is something from your child. If you give them I don't know, a drawing of a trace of their hand or a footprint.
We did a bunch of those when the kids were really
those
small.
Things that you're like, oh, they wouldn't want this crayon scribble that our kid made.
Do.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
they want
do.
that. They want that.
Yeah.
And pictures and videos are huge. We were always big with pictures and videos as much as we possibly could send them. We were sending them. And it's easier today now than ever. But early on, we were even making videos on DVD, and we'd send DVDs
a whole
out,
year's worth of pictures and video. Yeah. On
we
a
really
DVD.
made some effort to put together packages of videos and pictures as much as we could to send them, because we knew they couldn't get enough, and they couldn't. They all told us that.
Yeah.
They could not get enough. And they weren't bugging us for them, but it was our way of saying, we understand you want to know.
We appreciate. Yeah.
Yep. So I think that was also an important thing that we learned over the years.
Yeah, I wish we had more time to do more of those, actually, a little differently than we do now. But we still do them every year. But it's our whole family.
Yeah.
We can't do separate ones anymore. Don't have the time. But
so as we wrap up, what is open adoption to us? Open adoption to me is having that relationship, like we said, treating them as an extended family, and they are. And I know that's not always easy. It's not always sunshine and rainbows. But that's true with any of our extended family, right? Some people you get along with better than others. Some people you have a better relationship with others. But a relationship always requires some kind of work, some kind of commitment. Just stick with it. That's what open adoption is. It's about working on a relationship for the benefit of not only your child, which is the first and foremost benefit, but also for their birth families.
I do feel like we've been very fortunate. We haven't had to place a whole bunch of boundaries, things, everybody has just been really, really kind. They've all really included our other children, which makes things way easier. Yeah. They send birthday gifts to all our kids. They send Christmas gifts to all our kids. If they do that sort of thing. They don't all do that.
Right.
But, it makes everything easier when all the kids are included with things like that. So yeah,
how would you wrap up saying what open adoption is to you?
I think it's been like such a good thing for us, not just our kids, but for us, because, I think once you meet these people that are helping you make your family a reality, you want to know how they are. Like, I think we were surprised by that in the beginning. I don't really remember, but like, I really want to like know that they're okay and know how they're doing. And you start to have conversations that have anything to do with the child in particular, just how's your job going? Or what's your, how's your family? You ask them about things that are completely seemingly unrelated to the child. Because it is a relationship. And so I think, yeah, if we would have had no contact with some of them afterwards, we really would have been like, gosh, what's going on? I mean, when we did lose contact, really,
we experienced that.
We really did kind of experience that, because we were always kind of concerned, like, what's going on? I hope she's okay. I mean, I hope that, her family is doing all right. And, things like that. So I think maybe that was a little bit of a surprise. Maybe surprise is the right word, but just, something we didn't expect, that we would really like desire that contact when we were hesitant in the beginning.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It makes, and I know the listener, if you've heard anything about open adoption in the past, but a lot of people, most people that talk about open adoption think it's just a beautiful thing. And it is.
It is.
But that doesn't necessarily mean it's easy.
No, not always.
So that's the hard reality of open adoption is it is beautiful, but it may not be easy.
Yeah.
So hopefully you've learned something and we're inspired through our conversation of what we've dealt with through our 3 adoptions. I mean, it's only going to, we're going to continue to have stories. We're going to continue to have experiences as our kids get older. And maybe we'll do another podcast on this in a few years or something when we have more to tell. But hopefully you learned something from this. And I really love that we got to have this little chat that we've had many, many, many times. But now we got to record it and share it with you, the listener.
100th episode.
And our 100th episode.
Congratulations, babe.
So thank you for listening today. I would highly encourage you again to go back and listen to episode number 62, where we talked about the top 10 things we've learned through infant adoptions. Open adoption was a little bit a part of that, but there's a lot of other good stuff in there. infantadoptionguide.com/62 will get you there. So thank you for listening to us today, and we will talk to you again on the next episode. God bless.
Thanks for listening to my dad.